All right, cleaning up the skin weights here. Let's have a quick look at the bag overall. I like to always create a little animation when I do this. So I'm going to start with the main controls. So this is going to be our main control here. Key that there at 0 and 20. At 7, I'll key it rotating back like this. And just say like negative 45. At 14, I'll have it go in the opposite direction, 45. And that way I can see this going this way. When I go to use my paint skin weights tools, I can interactively see the bag in motion, so I don't have to exit out of that tool every time I want to move the bag. So let's just pop in there, paint skin weights tool. Let's take a look at this joint. So show the joints, select that joint, select influence. And you can see here right now that that is influencing mostly correctly. There's a little bit of an issue down here. So that's just a bottom joint there. There should be, just going to paint in the influence there. Cool, painting that in as 1 right there. So if we go to mid joint, that looks correct now. All right, so we want to make sure that these mid joints are pretty well controlled up here by just this one middle joint. So I will go in and let's go to add, and we'll change our opacity to like 0.2. Just go in and paint around this. And we will eventually mirror over these, so I'm not going to be too worried about painting evenly on both sides. And then we'll also smooth them as well. So for now, this is probably okay. All right, and let's just go up to the top joint as well. There's quite a bit of influence on that top joint, which we probably don't really need. So maybe paint some more of that influence back through here. There we go, it's looking a bit better. A little bit more there. Yeah, that's starting to look a bit better. I can even go into like replace here and replace this with value of 0. It's not always reliable to do that on some of these spots, but it can sometimes work. Sometimes they get replaced with values you don't want it to get replaced with, but that's okay. Let's go in and just quickly mirror these, just so we can see what we're getting at this stage. So we'll go skin, mirror skin weights, skinning across XY, positive to negative. There we go. Cool. That's the left strap, so I'm not worried about that right now. And let's just go ahead and smooth some of this out. So we got that bottom joint there. Cool. Let's just flood smooth this for now. Let's go to smooth, smooth, and we'll do the same thing here for now. All right, so that when we do that now, we get a lot nicer rotations going on through the bag in both directions. It loses a little bit of its volume, but I'm not too worried about that. This is a very simple object. Okay. So let's take a look at what's going on with the straps as well. So let's work on those. We'll work on one side at a time. We'll start on this side and work our way down. Okay. So let's go in and grab first strap. So strap left. You can see that that strap left is having a lot of influence down here, which I really don't necessarily want. Let's create an animation for just that strap itself. So I'll go in, let's open this up to like 40 frames. We'll keep the animation that we already have. Starting from here, let's go in and do starting from 20, let's do a rotation. We'll return it to that same value at 30, and let's rotate like, let's say just up right now. I guess that will work. Or do we want to move it? Maybe moving it is fine. Just move it up and over a little bit. I guess that'll work. It gives us a sense of how it's deforming. Okay, something like that. So with that being the case, we can kind of see what influence we're getting down here. It might be good to be able to see some of these polygons as they move. So I just hit Alt-5 to like see their influence over time. So if I go in and I get my Paint Skin Weights tool back, and I am painting on this mesh. And I want to get rid of that influence down there, replace to value 0. Let's get rid of some of the influence down here on this side. Okay. And it's probably okay that way. We can have a little bit of influence down here. Might even, do I want to smooth that out too much? I don't know. I'll just smooth it a little bit there like that. It doesn't need to have a lot of influence there. And then it's also going to need to like smooth into this strap here, so I can just use the smooth tool, hold down shift to apply smoothing. Might even just flood the smooth a little bit there. Might put too much influence back down where I had it originally, but I think that that's probably okay. Let's go into strap 2 here. That one's just isolated up on the strap, which is where I want it, which is good. Let's just flood that a little bit. Put this back to its normal spot. Probably can get rid of that animation, actually. Delete that. Let's see what this does when we move it around. So, key. Go to 25. Apparently that didn't get rid of that animation for some reason. Go back here to this one. 25, and just move it a little bit, just see how it's behaving. It's holding it pretty well through there. I can see a bit of movement happening in here that I don't necessarily like. It's not too bad though. But I can see, however, something down here is moving, which is not good. So let's figure out what's causing that. That's as a result of some of these other joints moving over here. So that's something we'll probably get to later as we move down the joint chain. Okay, so back to here. Let's just, if we're looking at strap 2 right now, we can see that strap 2 is having a bit of influence, probably too far down the chain. So I'm going to replace this here. Hold down B and left click and drag to change the size of my brush. Let's get rid of some of that influence there. Okay. It's a little bit better. And then just go to smooth and smooth that over here a little bit more as we have that go down the rest of the strap. And that's kind of how I'm going to continue as I work my way down here. So I'm just sort of smoothing things out as I go along. Some of these ones I can probably just flood smooth if they're not touching anything else over here. So flood smooth that. Go down to this one here. So make sure it's not affecting any of the influences down on the bag. That's fine. Flood smooth this one a little bit. Go to 5 and work my way through. So now it's pretty simple. Pretty straightforward. Somewhere around here, one of these is having influence on the bag because we saw it. I'm just going to figure out which one that is. Yeah, it's this one here at 9. Okay, cool. So for this one here, let's go in and first off, let's replace this with 0 here. Sometimes it's better to do it with the hard-edged brush. It's more likely to get rid of all the influence. And then let's come back and paint in our full influence here on parts of this that are missing it. So it looks like this is right here. This side of there we go. That's what we want. Make sure that's nice and full. So that way we can then smooth it out. So then we can go to smooth, flood, and then down to 10. Probably a little bit more of that, so now we just got to fill in some of these gaps. So it's really just now, it's very much like what we were doing, but we're just getting rid of things that we don't want to sit on this bag. And sometimes these values do kind of like pop back and forth over the bag. If we consistently see this happening, we can sometimes lock some of these values so that they don't do that. So I'm just seeing whether or not that's something I need to do here. Let's just go in and paint that there, paint that there. I think that's pretty good. Okay, and we'll flood the smooth. something over there just moved. But that's okay. I think that looks good down there. Now let's just see. Do we still have any aberrant movements happening? Let's grab one of these controls. Yes, a little bit of, you can see there's a little bit of movement happening over there. One of these joints is still affecting stuff over here. So one other way that we can deal with that is if we go into vertex mode, and let's go into, like, we know all of the joints at the front of this bag, for instance. They're not meant to have any influence from the straps. We can go in and we can find, we can select all of those, and we can go into the component editor by going to Windows, General Editors, Component Editor. And then we can find any place here under smooth skins where there are things like the straps that are influencing parts of this. Now, strap 1 might have some influence there, but strap 10, 12 on both sides shouldn't. So I'm going to start here at strap 10, and I'm going to come all the way over here on strap 12. But first I'm going to scroll to the bottom, Shift, select. This is like an Excel document, basically. I'm just going to type in 0 to get rid of all of the influence from the straps there on those vertices. So now, when I move some of the stuff around, it shouldn't be affecting the bag in any way. Okay, so let's just go and make sure everything's reset down to its original value. So I'm going back to 0 there. And let's now go and mirror across these skin weights. So go to Skin, Mirror Skin Weights. We're going to go from, we want to go from this side to this side. So that's actually across the XY plane, but in the negative direction, I believe. So let's just do that real quick. I think that worked. And now just taking a quick look. Let's make sure that everything works correctly on this side as well. Not 100%. Yeah, something's slightly off there. That's why we always test things. Sometimes mirroring works better than others. Let's just see. Did I perhaps do something wrong? Always a possibility. That was working okay there, here. I think it was doing better before the mirroring. Sometimes what I find in Maya is that mirroring is not always 100% reliable, which is slightly unfortunate. But I'm going across the XY plane. That's correct. I'm going from this side to this side. So let's just see, maybe I did that wrong, and maybe I went the wrong way. So skin, mirror skin weights, XY plane. Let's try with that on. Then does that cause problems? Maybe not. Maybe it's okay. Yeah, it looks like that's mostly working okay there. And the front of the bag isn't being deformed, although what was happening there? Oh, weird deformation there. Okay, so for whatever reason, and I can't 100% say why, there is not the best solution here happening when we're trying to mirror our skin weights. Like I said, it's not always 100%. It should be fine on an object like this that's mirrored, but you know what? It just seems to want to be a little bit of a pain. Maybe there's something here that isn't perfectly mirrored. It looks like something, one of these controls maybe. You know what? I bet it's this control right here. Set that back to 0. There might be something else in there. If everything's not in its original location, this can get, it can be imperfect. So what you might have to do, depending on your situation, is you might have to go in and just repaint the skin weights for the other side as well. Let's just see by doing that whether or not it made any difference. Yeah, see, something's still not working quite right there. So what I would do on an object this simple, it would be easy to just go through and repaint for the other side there, and then we'll have a bag that's deforming the correct way. Make sure that you don't have any stray weights popping up. Just make sure to clean those out, and then you should start having something that you can use, and as you get your character to pick it up, they can rotate it. as they rotate things around, then they can push the straps back to where they need to be. And all this stuff is keyable. I would just make sure that the deformers are not visible. Key these individual curves. And just one final little thing I'll note is that I like to always have color coding for my curves. So I go into the object display, drawing overrides on the curves, enable override, and change my color to, for something that's in the middle, I usually have it as like this yellow color. Right, so any of these ones in the middle would be yellow. For any of the ones that are my right controls, I have these as red. It's like a bright red that's easy to see. Somewhere in here, there we go. Right, so all those would be red, and then these ones here on the left side, I have those as blue. It's pretty standard color sorting for most character rigs. So something like that there. Then make all of those either yellow, blue, or red, depending on their location, and they'll be easier to see. And then there you go. You got a bag. Have fun. Good luck.